The FIFA 2026 controversy, December 5, 2025. Washington, D.C., the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. This was supposed to be one of football's biggest celebrations, the World Cup draw. The moment 48 nations discovered their path to the biggest tournament in football history. Instead, it became something else. Because before a single ball had been kicked, before a single group had been drawn, FIFA President Gianni Infantino walked onto the stage and introduced a brand new award, the FIFA Peace Prize. And then he gave it to the President of the United States. Within days, human rights organization Fair Square filed a formal ethics complaint against Infantino. The complaint alleged that he had violated FIFA's own rules on political neutrality. The complaint argued that football's governing body was becoming increasingly entangled with politics. FIFA denied wrongdoing. The tournament preparations continued. But the controversy raised a question that has followed FIFA for decades. After everything that happened in football's corruption era, has FIFA really changed? Or has it simply learned how to present itself differently? This is the story of the controversies surrounding the 2026 World Cup, and why some critics believe football's governing body still hasn't solved its biggest problems. To understand why the 2026 World Cup became controversial before it even began, you have to understand FIFA's recent history. In May 2015, Swiss police entered a luxury hotel in Zurich. They arrested senior FIFA officials at the request of U.S. authorities. What followed became one of the largest corruption investigations in sports history. Dozens of football executives and marketing officials were charged. The allegations included bribery, racketeering, and money laundering. For years, FIFA had presented itself as the guardian of the world's game. Now its reputation was in ruins, public trust collapsed, sponsors questioned their relationships, and football's governing body faced the greatest crisis in its history. Shortly afterward, longtime FIFA president Sepp Blatter left office. The organization promised reform, a new era, a fresh start. And in 2016, Gianni Infantino became FIFA president. His message was simple. FIFA would become more transparent, more accountable, more trustworthy. For many fans, it sounded exactly like what football needed. But nearly a decade later, critics are still asking whether those promises were fulfilled. One of the biggest controversies surrounding FIFA today involves its relationship with political leaders. Officially, FIFA requires political neutrality. Football, according to its own rules, should not be used as a platform for political endorsement. That principle exists for a reason. The World Cup belongs to billions of people across every continent, every ideology, and every political system. The game is supposed to unite, not divide, which is why events surrounding the 2026 World Cup draw attracted so much attention. The draw was held in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center. The venue itself was announced jointly by U.S. President Donald Trump and FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The ceremony featured political leaders from all three host nations, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Then came the moment that generated headlines around the world. Infantino awarded the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize to President Trump. Supporters viewed it as recognition of diplomatic efforts. Critics saw something very different. To them, it looked like football's governing body publicly endorsing a political figure. Days later, Fair Square filed an ethics complaint with FIFA. The complaint alleged breaches of FIFA's neutrality rules and specifically questioned the creation and awarding of the new prize. Whether FIFA's ethics process ultimately agrees or not, the incident reopened a debate that has followed FIFA for years. How close should football's leadership be to political power? And where's the line between cooperation and endorsement? The controversy did not stop there. At roughly the same time preparations for the 2026 World Cup were accelerating, FIFA finalized the host selection process for another tournament, the 2034 World Cup. Saudi Arabia emerged as the only candidate remaining in the race. The decision generated criticism from human rights organizations and some football federations. Norway's Football Federation was among those expressing concerns about the process and broader human rights issues. Supporters of the decision argued that football should continue expanding into new regions and markets. Critics argued that FIFA was prioritizing commercial growth over difficult questions about governance and human rights. The debate reflected a larger issue. Modern World Cups are no longer simply sporting events. They are political, economic, and cultural projects worth billions of dollars. Every host selection creates winners, losers, and controversy. And FIFA finds itself at the center of those debates every time. The scale of the 2026 tournament has only intensified those discussions. This will be the largest World Cup in history. 48 teams, 104 matches, 3 host nations, 16 host cities, billions of viewers. The financial stakes are enormous. For FIFA, the World Cup is not only football's greatest tournament, it is the engine that drives the organization's revenue. That reality creates tension, because FIFA must balance 2 roles at once. It is both the guardian of the sport and the organizer of one of the largest commercial events on earth. Supporters argued that the money generated by the World Cup helps fund football development worldwide. Critics argue that commercial priorities sometimes appear to outweigh sporting ones. Neither side is likely to disappear anytime soon. Yet despite every controversy, there is something remarkable about the World Cup. The tournament consistently becomes bigger than the institution that runs it. Fans do not fall in love with FIFA. They fall in love with football. They remember the goals, the upsets, the underdogs, the moments that bring entire countries together. Very few people remember who chaired a committee meeting. Everyone remembers where they were when their team scored a winning goal. That is what makes FIFA so unusual. The organization is constantly scrutinized, often criticized, frequently controversial. Yet the competition it oversees remains one of the most beloved events on earth. The game survives regardless, sometimes even despite the people running it. That is why the debates surrounding 2026 matter. They are not really about one prize, or one ceremony, or one controversy. They are about accountability, trust, and who ultimately serves the interests of football. The ethics complaint against Infantino may or may not lead anywhere. The arguments about political neutrality will continue. The debates about future World Cup hosts will continue. The questions about governance will continue, because they have never truly gone away, not since 2015, not since the promises of reform, and not as long as football remains the world's most powerful sport. As the 2026 World Cup begins, billions of people will focus on the players, the goals, the drama, the possibility of history being made. But away from the stadiums, another story continues, a story about power, money, influence, and the organization responsible for managing the world's game. The question facing FIFA today is the same question it faced after its corruption crisis a decade ago. Can football's governing body truly reform itself? Or will controversy remain part of the institution forever? The World Cup will provide unforgettable moments. It always does. The bigger question is whether FIFA can ever become as trusted as the game it governs. And that story is far from over. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like. If you want to hear more stories, subscribe. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this topic in the comments section. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, see you on the other side of the pitch.